Hey guys, Stealth here, and welcome back to Wargame, where today we have two major generals squaring off on Plungent Valley. This is a ranked match, and as you can see, these guys have quite a bit of experience. So it's going to be interesting to see what tactics they employ and what we can potentially learn from that. In this match, I'm going to be following Kirill. This is Kirill Pokrovsky. I hope I'm getting anywhere close to the pronunciation. And Cyrillic writing, which is something that I really don't know how to interpret. So we're just going to keep calling this guy Red 4. Now, Kirill is using an Eastern Bloc deck, and this gives him quite a bit of flexibility. I, at least back in the day when I was playing Ranked, really did not like specialized decks too much, as they were limiting in some factor. But let's see what he's going to come up with in the Eastern Bloc deck that he has. UAZ goes in the back, naturally. He's still considering where. SPWs, SP70s. Alright, that's fast enough. To the left we have a Sokol, probably operating there to neutralize enemy forces as they're potentially land grabbing this little bit of industrial area over there. He does not seem to be going heavy on this side though, only one SPW-80 there. Towards the middle we have the SPW-70s and 80s, mostly infantry with some ATGM for backup. Right flank, Mi-25 Recon, couple of Wilks, even a mortar, and quite a bit of the BMP-1s with a bunch of SPWs for fire support and infantry transport, including one recon unit. Now let's see, I think he probably expended all of his points by now. And considering the replay is going to last for 45 minutes and the game hasn't even started, we should speed this up a little bit and actually get to the gameplay. The interesting thing for me is that he has no recon over here. This side is not something where he seems to be focusing with vision. Alright, that's fast enough. We also have a Lazur circling overhead. It already launched one of its infrareds. The infantry is racing ahead, and contrary to what I was expecting, the transports over here actually took another route and seem to be heading towards this tree line. So he's not per se grabbing the objectives or grabbing the territory in that objective, but he's grabbing the land in front of it. And that's definitely something I should be making more use of. Specialny very quickly dropped off. They are being supported by the Mi-25, at least, well, somewhat keeping the BTR-90 at bay. And even able, at least if it doesn't get hit too hard by the MiG-23, able to do some damage or potentially kill off the K-29. And now the K-29 gets free reign, neutralizes, or is in the process of neutralizing the SPWs. Fortunately, the LSTR might be able to put a stop to it. There's the Lazur going down. Yep, there's the helicopter going down. Another group of FJBs with anti-air infantry, or sorry, anti-air weaponry ready for the go. Together they can take it out, but can they take out a couple of T-72Bs at range? See, with Specialny, I'd say possibly, if they get close enough. The FJB, not so much. But so far they don't seem to be pushing on the town just yet. They do seem to be pushing on the tree line, with a couple of Sapri and their BTRT transports coming in for assistance. Those are going to get countered by the T-72 Wilks. Unfortunately, he's seeing them coming and doing a bit of scouting run with these now empty SPW-80s. Over here, the BMP-3s are making minced meat of those transports. And this guy is really lucky to even get that far. He almost made it to the cover of the tree line. Now, the T-72s from Kirill are now pushing out, doing some damage of their own. You can see that the Sapri are coming in. And the Sapri are going to get greeted by a ton of transports, as well as the tanks. Which should mean that the Sapri are going to be out soon. But unfortunately the Aufkläder and the LSTR-40 have been detected. Took a hail of grenade launcher fire from the BTRT and some main gun fire from the T-72Bs. Basically cut the LSTR squad in half there. And you can see it's a nice back and forth here. Now he has the Sapri neutralized. At least that we know of. Of course we only have the line of sight from Blue 4. And he's immediately pulling back his tanks and putting motor chutes and standard units forward in order to deal with anything that might come too close. Now, on the left flank, he has the LSTR-40. Basically, it's going to be a stopgap measure. Not really out there to push anywhere. SPW-80 on the flank. Conquerors in case anything pushes middle. And for spotting middle, he doesn't really have anything. FJB and SPW. These are both not terribly good at optics and spotting. So the Conquerors is either going to have to spot its own targets, or he might be bringing in reconnaissance units later. Anyway, Red 4 has quite a bit of infantry operating on the middle area right now. Mostrelki engaging LSTR-40, and this is going to be a tough fight for the LSTR. Yes, they have a really accurate assault rifle, but they do not carry a machine gun, such as the PKM, which can suppress these guys. So far they're winning it, but I wouldn't be surprised if those BMPs are going to come in for assistance rather soon, which would put the LSTR in a far worse position. Let's hope that the T-72s can do some work. Unfortunately, the T-72Bs outgun the T-72 Wilks and finally get the kill on one of them. I'm not sure if he's actually blind firing here, but I don't think so. He probably saw these guys, the FJBs, with his Spetsnaz. There's the LSTR just in range, and they neutralize him, but that's going to come at quite the cost. If this thing fires again, yep, LSTRs are dead. Still, the LSTRs, killing off a T-72, definitely got their money's worth. So you don't really have to be too concerned about actually losing points there. Well, it was a good trade. Now, Conquest Points. None so far for Kirill, and 48 for the Major General in the enemy team. Seems to be alright so far. He's not yet bringing in another command unit. He seems to be just trying to reinforce the positions that he has. And of course, if he can hold on to Boris and reinforce this position, you can always bring in a command vehicle later. Same goes for Fedor, really, where he's not too focused on neutralizing or attacking. But I wouldn't be surprised if Red 4 doesn't have too many units there either. They're probably just holding. Now I really like this setup of the LSTR-40 and the FJB-40. That's something that I'm going to have to remember. Just putting these guys in there is a global deterrent, in the sense that they can deal with aircraft as well as vehicles, although the FJB-40 are far less effective at dealing with vehicles than the LSTR, which is what I believe is the reason why I put the LSTR over here, where they're far more likely to encounter enemy vehicles. And of course, the Strela 3 on the FJBs are not really going to kid anything into taking it down. But it's at least a sort of a stopgap measure, so that in case a helicopter does fly by and potentially a plane flies overhead, they will at least do some damage to it. Reinforcements are about to arrive. We have a couple of BMP SP2s coming in with recon and another Wilk. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Wilk going to the right flank, where he's been quite weakened. And towards the middle we also have an 813 coming in. I assume it's going to head over here to resupply and mostly repair that Wilk, which took quite a battering, but is still alive. And hopefully he can fix that thing back up, and potentially combining with the motor chutes and engage targets as they pop up. Now the OT is moving forward but still being detected. I think that might be the Spetsnaz that we have over there. He also has the Flakon, but the Flakon is so deep inside the tree line that it's probably not able to engage that helo just yet. There's the Mi-8. Sometimes you just gotta turn off the HUD and admire the game. I mean, this is a game that was launched in 2014. And sure, it's starting to show its age. But generally... did that come from the front of the truck? Yeah. So I was going to compliment the graphics engine. And then we see missiles coming out of the... pretty much the engine bay of that truck. Right. Anyway, Red 4 seems to be planning on pushing out Blue 4 on Fedor. So far, that first rocket artillery strike didn't do much. The second rocket artillery strike is heading to the... I I think, yep, right on top of the reinforcement truck, or the logi truck, right as it arrived. Motorschützen also taking a big hit. Fortunately, that truck didn't blow up. That was a lot of supplies that could have gone to waste. And now we have some units coming in, infantry mostly, with some, I think, BMP-3s for backup, long-range fire support. Conquerors are trying to do something about that, but not really able to get a shot off at all before they get killed off. This is when the MiG comes in, probably to nuke that helicopter ASAP. The helicopter, unfortunately, I was going to say got out of view range, but I think the LSTRs took it down. Now we have VDV coming in, BMP-3s pushing up, and the LSTR-90 are now really going to get into a pinch trying to defeat, or trying to defend rather, against everything here. Maybe a Prem S is able to do something about the infantry, but I don't really count on units like these to do much against the transports, not with 8 HE. So they're going to have to rely on the Conquerors, but unfortunately they weren't able to get there in time for the LSTR to survive. So now we have a bit of a weak spot over here at Fedor. And from Fedor you can quite easily break out into the other sections of this map, at least the western flank. He still has the OT here and the tank for a bit of a picket line. Same for the transport here. And you can see that he also has some defensive units over here, the Snezkas and the Sokol. I think this is the main purpose for the Sokol, to defend against enemy helicopters with the Igla. And of course to deal with enemy infantry rather quickly. This is another one of those tactics that I have to remember. I usually just go for ground forces such as these, the Snezka, maybe empty transports, a helo line. But this makes far more sense. Just having one, I'd say medium gunship, and of course not all of the NATO countries have something that can do this, but the Sokol definitely a good unit for that. Right, we have the SPW-80 racing up, trying to take up position where the LSTR were. I'm a bit concerned that they're going to get greeted by a little bit more gunfire than they were hoping. Look at this, by the way. BMP-2s. BMP-1 SP2s. Not generally the most accurate units with a 35 accuracy gun. But they were able to hit the T-64, do some damage to it, but most importantly jam the weapons on the T-64. So, Red 4 has no chance but to just retreat here. Pull that vehicle back for now. For the next 50 seconds until it's going to get repaired. In the meanwhile, we have VDV coming in. Let's see if the BMPs can do another one on these guys. Yeah, some damage, but not nearly enough to be able to actually kill them off. Another MI-8 coming in. I wonder why he's circling the plane over here at the moment. Potentially just to intercept enemy aircraft early on. I don't think he's actually baiting an enemy aircraft at the moment. He is baiting some AA though. And while he did get the helicopter, he also lost the plane. Another rocket artillery strike comes in. This time, he got lucky once again. It looked like one of those rockets was landing right on top of the logi truck. Once again, this thing panics, but walks away without a scratch. And the same can be said for everyone else here. They just fired at this tree line, didn't actually hit any of the units guarding it. Now time to push up. Motorschützen, LSDR and the Wilk, trying to deal with some sappery and a fire support unit far in the back. Unidentified as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a BMP-3 or a BMP-T. I wasn't really expecting that. I thought it would be a tank. But a BMP-T in a situation like this can be very, very dangerous to enemy infantry. The BMP-T comes forward, gets scared off by the Wilk, or at least deterred for the moment. I do, however, wonder what the sappery are really going to be doing against a Wilk. You can try to put the thing on fire, but it's not really going to catch on. What it does do is put up a very localized smokescreen, so that at least the Wilk no longer has line of sight on the sappery. That's another neat tactic. Now, with the LSTR spotted, we know that they potentially have some reconnaissance units up close, or medium spotters such as infantry coming in for the kill. T-72A comes forward, probably looking to duel it out with the Wilk. And with a panicked Wilk and a calm T-72A, I'm not exactly sure who would win. I'd say that normally the Wilk would overpower the T-72A, but in a situation like this, I'd say the T-72A probably has a better chance. Scrajjet as well as BTRTs pushing forward. BTRT is probably hoping to catch the enemy infantry off guard, but there is no enemy infantry. The LSTRs have been completely evacuated, and the only thing that we're really dealing with here is the Wilks. Unfortunately, that probably is not the only thing that we're looking at here. So there we go, the Wilk took a hit. I think the T-72A also took a hit. That's when they lost line of sight again. So now it's back to the LSTR to take him out. Nope, T-72A did not take a hit. BTRTs are now facing off against the Wilk. Not really going to go well for the BTRTs, but they have backup. There goes one. If the enemy infantry, especially more AT weaponry infantry, comes in, this is going to be a bigger problem. They keep lobbing grenades at them. The Wilk, utterly unimpressed, pushes forward, probably trying to get the kill there. Again, not really getting any luck with the shot, as he just does not have enough line of sight here. The enemy does. As you can see, the Wilks are both being spotted despite the fact that they're in the tree line. And this means that we need to find that spotter unit before these things get sniped by something. Is this... yeah, it's another BMP-3. FGP-40 are not going to be here long. They're getting pushed out by the Zvedka as well as the BMP. There's the last shot, there's the FJB dead. The left flank has been reinforced. We have the Pram, a couple of transports and LSTRs, as well as a secondary defense line of Conquerors and FGP-40. So for now they seem to have a decent amount of units over here, but no real long-range hitters. He seems to be betting on close-range contacts. And so far, conquest-wise, the game is going pretty even. We have Fedor, Dmitry and Elena for red, Anna, Boris and Center for blue. That seems to be the current division of the enemy forces. Syria comes in, I think, to deal with the BMP-3. Didn't quite get the hit, unfortunately. Now we have Motorschützen facing off against the T-72A. I don't think that's going to go too well for the Motorschützen here. These things do 4 HE per shot. And here comes the rocket artillery, hell-bent on kicking blue out of this tree line. Now, I only just realized that this is a confrontation game. This is a red on red. Or, well, yes, you could say blue on red, but it's both enemy or both teams playing red for. Which is interesting. I I only just noticed that. Shows you how much I know. Anyway, not too much going on here. Seems to be a pretty quiet day. Note the position of the CV here. Instead of having it somewhere here in the back, where it could be pretty fragile, at least easily flankable, despite the fact that he has the FJBs and the SPWs, he's parked it far more towards the inside of the capture zone here, with a Snezka for backup. So anything that tries to approach this particular section of the area will get detected by the Snezka and consequently fired at. Now I wonder if he can get a foothold into Dmitry. If he can do that, he can get a +2, but he does not seem to be in a rush to bring in another command vehicle. We do have as another Wilk and more infantry, as well as another SPW and an Mi-35 at slightly longer range there for backup. This could be a really nice counter to enemy BMP-3s, which seem to be out in force today. Still there is Vedka, and this is going to be a problem. 30 VDV-90 coming in. Not really something that the BMP-1 can easily deal with. You can see that it is not just the BMP-1 that's starting to run, but also the Wilks, the Motorschützen, the other Wilk. All of these units are being pulled back because they do not want to deal with a bunch of VDV up close. Motorschützen taking up position where the FJB were initially, and also serving as a bit of a lookout for enemy units coming down this tree line. And they already spotted their first prey. I'd say that was a Skreget, but I'm not exactly sure. So we have a whole bunch of VDV 90. What are we going to do about those? Because he does not have artillery. He does not have the infantry to deal with them. For now they seem to be pretty heavily concentrated there. I wonder if they're going to keep that up. MiG-23 MLD flies over, so far popping flares and just dodging every single missile that gets fired at it. But in the meanwhile, he does have a far better idea of what's going on, at least anti-air wise. And it seems that the defensive grid here is doing its work right about now. I'm not exactly sure where those VDV-90s came from. They evaded the detection grid, so they may have just come through the tree line over here and then finally into this sector, where they ran into LSTR and the SPW-80. LSTR took the brunt of the damage, down 6 guys, but they're still there. That's the key. And the enemy team, that VDV group, did not get through to deal with the command vehicle, fortunately. That could have gone a whole lot different. Seems to be a bit of a lull in the fighting at the moment. Now overall, what strikes me is how he's not using his reconnaissance forces. One of the things that I always say on my videos is that you need recon. Wargame is, as far as I'm concerned, a game of information, where you need to know what you're dealing with so that you can bring in the best counter. Both major generals, from what I've been able to see, play the game different. They rely on the inbuilt optics from, for example, standard infantry, as a denial of area. Not so much to skirmish with them, but pretty much as a picket line. Whereas I would try to probably get recon, let's say over there, over here, potentially a backup there, just to see what's going on. He doesn't use that. He uses LSTRs and FJBs. Something else that we're seeing is the cheaper air superiority fighters. This is just the MiG-23 MLD, and he's using the MiG-912, which is not really an air superiority fighter but a multi-role. And that could be a really nice way to deal with the VDV. But I was going to say, there's not too much direct air support. We're just seeing some fighters coming in every now and then, with the occasional Seria coming in to snipe an enemy tank. Potentially a high value fire support unit. There goes another Wilk. But no real bombing strikes. Could be down to playstyle, could be a pattern, since neither of these two players is doing it. Now, it seems that my initial identification on this Skreget was correct. He's pushing forward, and I hope for the infantry's sake that the BMP can take it out quickly, but it is panicked. With a 32% accuracy, it did get a hit, but it wasn't enough. Come on. There. Tank finally took it out. We have another quad stack of... Is that quad stack of tanks coming in? Yeah, that's a quad stack of T-72As coming in. This is another interesting tactic. At this range, you don't really need super heavy. So what he's instead using is a quad stack of T-72As, which, considering they all fire once and deal 4 HE, is going to easily take out an entire group of infantry very, very quickly. And they probably have the armor to deal with 1, potentially 2 hits before they go down, depending a little bit, of course, on the type of RPG that's being fired at them. So, quad stack of T-72As, potentially the standard T-72 could also pull it off, although I'm not exactly sure if it could take the hit. I'm not exactly sure if it could actually survive that. Anyway, we have a command vehicle over here. It is being relocated right in time as another rocket artillery strike comes in. Also note how few rockets are fired. Normally when you have a rocket artillery strike, or an artillery strike in general, you can see wave after wave of rockets coming this way. Not this time. We're just seeing a few come in, and now he seems to be firing a second salvo, potentially from another vehicle. It wiped out an LSDR group, but not the command vehicle. The command vehicle is out in the open, and you can see he used the mortar battery there to smoke it up just as it was evacuating the area. At least it didn't die. That saved him another 100 points. Now, whatever is left from his group down the middle is pushing back. A couple of Wilks with a couple of transports. Hopefully they can get... There's the Spetsnaz Gru dead. Spetsnaz Gru have a really nasty RPG that can easily take out these transports one after the other. Scouting out with the SPWs, Wilks in support. There's a third Wilk coming up, although this one is panicked and running out of fuel. He might need to pay attention to that, or he's going to lose the tank. I'm not seeing the command vehicle anymore. I think the command vehicle just got wiped out. Or is he relocating it somewhere else? Yeah, I think it got killed. Yep. Footings UAZ destroyed. He lost his command vehicle. And as such, he no longer has the capability of neutralizing this zone. He did gain a few points. But right now they're basically even. 46 versus 48. T-72As, wow, the BMP got a kill there, immediately going veteran. Very, very short range skirmishing here. I think that most of the T-72As are now dead. This is when he pushes forward with the VP, interesting maneuver. LSTR is dealing with it and getting the kill, combined with firepower from the FJB-40. What these guys cannot deal with, of course, is yet another one of those pesky BMP-3s. And the LSTR immediately take a hit, survive, fortunately, but they do not really want to take on these guys at close range. Scratchhead goes down, giving away the position of the FJB-40, so I'm pretty much expecting a hit from the BMP-3 to come in right about now. It seems to be that the BMP-3 got pulled back into the tree line right in time. At least right in time for the STR to get into safety. So, 14 minutes left. 46 versus 48. Blue has Boris locked down. Blue also has a sort of a beachhead over here, but no command vehicle. We do have a new command vehicle coming in. Another UAZ. On the left, solidly in the control of Red 4. And I don't think that Kirill over here has any intention of going for this particular area. He seems to be far more focused on high value areas such as Dmitry. If you can neutralize that, you can instantly get that +2 ticking. And that's going to really help, of course. Now another helo comes in, immediately takes a rocket to the face. Can they do it again? No. Jeez, that was close. I think the helo just dipped down as they were firing. Another group of VDV spotted. No, says the MiG-29 912A, and it neutralizes them. Look at that. That's what you get with the thermobarics. That's why I really like those planes. In case you never used them, the MiG-912 is one of the special bombers that first delivers the bomb as an HE damage, and then starts a fire in that location. Also causing quite a thick smoke screen, as you can see. So if you are really in a pinch, you could also drop that slightly forward and use it as a neutralization weapon. Or a smokescreen weapon. Now it looks like the previous command position here has taken some shelling, forcing the command vehicle to maneuver. Once again into cover, parking pretty much inside this foliage. And hopefully there's no further spotting over here. I'm not exactly sure what they have over there. Red, I'm talking. I'm not going to switch to the neutral viewer to find out, because I want to see the kill list for Kirill at the end of the game. And if I switch, that kill list is going to get interrupted, which would be a waste. Anyway, LSTR dealing with a helicopter, but now once again under attack by a transport vehicle here. ATGMs. Actually, these things might be more accurate, only by 5%, than the Grom weapon that they carry. Unfortunately, they weren't able to save the LSTR in time, and as such, the helicopter got the kill. There's the infantry dead. What sort of infantry are we dealing with here? VDV-90. Yep, accurate and adequate. And immediately gets rained down on by a MiG-912. That should wipe out the infantry there. At this point he's also using C to detract from the enemy AA. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see one of these tanks go down, thanks to the MiG-912, sorry, MiG-27K. There we go. The command vehicle is once again in position, taking another heavy artillery bombardment, but alive, although only just. 1 hit point left out of 4. Trying to move around a bit, hoping to keep this thing alive as long as possible. Score is still really, really close. 62-60. Oh, look at that. That's the position where that command vehicle was a moment ago. LSTR unfortunately not able to deal with the Mi-8 at the moment, as they have run out of anti-air weaponry. They can still do quite a bit of damage against transports and tanks. And talking of tanks, the enemy just brought in a T-80 That is going to quickly chew through the Wilks. And he only has one of them left. Another one joining the fight. And this seems to be a pretty big push from Red 4 trying to come back to this. The Syria did a missile run. Not sure if it got hit or if it actually hit anything. And take note of this Seed aircraft. He's using this in a double role. It has short-range infrared missiles, as well as Seed weaponry, of course. And I used it to take out a helicopter, and then the aircraft also tried to do a shot on what seemed to be a ROMB or another AA unit over there. I think that the T-80 is dead, or it's been forced to withdraw. Motorschützen are trying to deal with the tanks. So far they're landing hits, but it's not enough. Frontal armor on this thing is 13 versus the 14 AP that these guys are delivering. But once it's showing its broadside to... broadside, this is not World of Warships. Once it's showing its front to the Motorschützen, the Wilk was able to get a side shot on him, and they managed to take out the tank, capturing a logistics unit at that. But now we have a problem. The Ke-29 is just rushing forward, taking out the command vehicle as they're doing a flyby, and I think that between the two of them they would be able to take out this Wilk. Unfortunately, this means that the zone has reverted to Red 4, and Red 4 is now at 60 versus Blue's 112. It's now Red 4's move to see if they can actually pull this back. Can they get a command vehicle neutralized somewhere for long enough to allow these guys to get some points back? I know I'm saying it plural. It's just 1v1. But I'm so used to playing Wargame in teams that I'm always talking about they and them and plurals. Anyway, this MiG-24 is getting dangerously close to the command vehicle here. That could have been really annoying. So far, the command vehicle has not been detected, but it is moving just for safety. And this FLACOM just got resupplied in time, as it was empty. That's exactly the moment when the logistics truck came in, resupplying the OSA, and the OSA immediately wiped out the helicopter, as it was making pretty much a straight dash towards the command vehicle. Now a whole bunch of special forces, or actually Marines come in, Morskaya Pekota. Not really impressed by the firepower that the Motorschützen can put up. And as such, the Motorschützen die, leaving the LSTR vulnerable to another infantry assault there. Another helicopter comes in, and Red seems to realize that Blue does not have too much in the lines of AA over here, at least not in the front line. The secondary line does have the OSAs, which are able to take out the helicopters pretty easily, but not before the helos do some damage. Now my money here is on this Morskayas, and while the LSTR are able to get some casualties on the Morskaya, there are just far more of them than there are of the LSTR. Another helo dashing forward, another Mi-24. Holy crap. Unfortunately, the FJB gave their position away with the Strela, did not get a hit, and even if they did get a hit, it wasn't going to be enough, as this helicopter is dashing forward, Firing rocket pods at the last known location. Yep, it's an MI-24K. Easily wiping out the FJB. Meaning that this side is now pretty open and that this is the next AA line that they have. Lazur would be perfect to deal with the MI-24K, but it's taken quite a bit of battering from the enemy AA forces over there on the left. And as such is forced to withdraw, allowing the MI-24K to just continue its operations for a while. And probably spotted the pram by now, unless we have another spotter. Boris took a bad hit there. His command vehicle almost dead. So they definitely knew where it was. And I wouldn't be surprised... Oh, there goes the command vehicle. He's already bringing in another command unit, which is going to be there pretty fast with the Mi-17. In the meanwhile, he's going to be hemorrhaging points. And considering that there's only 6 minutes left of this game, even a +1, especially with a score this close together, could get really, really annoying really quickly. So it's really trying to get this T-80M out of the fight as quickly as possible and potentially re-establish that beachhead over there. Bringing in another command vehicle this late into the game could work, but I don't really see any other options anyway. So that might be what he's dealing with. That might be his play here. And in the meanwhile, try to neutralize this as quickly as possible. But look at that! AHMI-2 spotting the command vehicle. Now the question is, can we kill that? If you can, and you can recapture Boris, which is already happening. I think that... Yep, Syria comes in. Sneaking the Syria over the mountaintops... Correction. Through the mountaintops here. You're a plane, not a dolphin. Jesus. Look at this thing just skim off the mountains. Anyway, let's see if this one can get the kill on the BRDM there. He's also marked it for himself. This is where the target is. Of course, that would work with artillery or a bomber, but not so much with a precision weapon, such as the KH-29T. Flies down into the ground, off the map. This is where Wargame gets weird. Come on, buddy. I'm surprised that Red 4 hasn't noticed that their command vehicle is being spotted. And now the Syria comes in, once again, cutting down the trees in its path. Looking in on the kill, and getting it. There we go. Boris is recaptured, Fedor is neutralized. Unfortunately, this is also getting quite dangerous here, the Morskayas, forcing the command vehicle to move out. These guys must have snuck in through the side here, as I really don't see another way of doing it. They're chasing the command vehicle. The command vehicle's rushing to the safety... Well, that's an interesting phrase. I was going to say is rushing to the safety of the front lines. It seems that somebody decided to... What is this? Take your plane to work day? I mean, come on. That's nowhere to park your plane. Anyway, Morskaya is still in pursuit. Hopefully the Wilk can deter them from moving in. And with this area recaptured in the last 3 minutes of the game, as well, actually Fedor has also been recaptured. It's 113 versus 121. Very, very close match. Seems like a last-ditch effort. He's bringing another command unit. And hopefully it can get there in time and get him some points. He is behind. If he can get that +2 ticking for a bit, it might be enough to either force a draw or a minor victory. In the meanwhile, in Anna, we still have the Morskaya. You can see he's smoking up his own command vehicle, making it so that it's not going to get detected. It's unfortunately not going to be too much of an issue for the enemy artillery. The enemy already is pushing back on that position. Interestingly, Motorschützen are pushing forward, able to at least move the command vehicle back from the position. That's a +2 for Kirill, rapidly gaining back the points that he was not getting there. OT-64C coming forward, not deterred by anything there, and it does not really seem to get spotted as the MiG-27 was not taking shots at it. Now Fedor has been secured and then not been secured, so he potentially got the guy to move his command vehicle away. This is when the T-80UM starts rushing forward, probably looking to, there we go, get the kill on the command vehicle. Seems that all bets are off at this point. There goes the AA. Not a good time for the AA to die, just as a couple of gunships are coming forward, and heavy gunships at that. We also, I think, where did it go? We had a command helicopter coming in, or rather, to be accurate, there it is, command infantry. That's probably not where he had originally planned it to go, but this is where it is currently serving the team, or the guy in the best position. Helicopters. One of them goes down. I'm not sure where the other one is, but it cannot really be too far. Fortunately, this zone, Dmitry, has been neutralized. Same for Fedor. As such, he's getting a +3. And this is pretty much going to spell the doom, as there's really not too much that can go wrong at this stage. Although this T-80UM can, well, I think 2, maybe 3 shot the command infantry here. Look at this. The infantry here must be getting quite nervous. And I secured, and I lost, and I secured. Which is it? T-80UM takes another battering here. Sokol getting ready for another rocket pod assault, but it's not enough. This thing still survives. Artillery fire comes in right on top of the enemy infantry, of the command infantry. An ATGM flies in, no damage. And I'm not exactly sure who got the kill there, but the Mi-17 there is doing a victory lap as it's panicked. Command infantry again takes a massive hit, but at this point, with the +3 that he's going, and just a couple of 10 seconds left on the game, he's won. But bloody hell, that was a lot of back and forth. Very, very close. As you can see, Kirill got more kills, but not by much. These guys were very, very equally skilled. They were very, very well matched. Now, kill lists. Let's see if anything pops out. Of course, the use of the Lasurs, the MiG-21s, those were definitely interesting. No high-end air superiority fighters, but cost-effective units that can do the job, and not much more than that. Specialny, lots of use of the T-72 M2 Wilk, and judging by the amount of kills, they definitely got their money's worth. FJBs, LSTRs. This seemed to be his key infantry. The FJB and the LSTR, backed up by standard motor shoots in the push through the woods. And we did see some ATGM units, some Conquerors every now and then, but I think that they barely got any kills. MiG-912A got the command unit. Interesting, I missed that. This was probably the new command unit that came into Fedor on the left flank, and that's where we saw the fire, and I think that that was the BRDM-2U. Again, more Wilks. These are the different variant Wilks. The other ones are the M2. He's now switched back to the M1. Osa's got quite a few helicopter kills, as well as, by the looks of it, some helicopters which still had the infantry inside. Even got an aircraft shot down there. Sopol definitely got a nice number of kills, including a VP. Now look at that Syria, taking out 2 BRDM-2Us. Now I think you can get 4, maybe 5 BRDM-2Us per card. He lost 1, 2, 3, I think. If those were the only command units that he had in his deck, which doesn't seem too likely for a Conquest game, then you could argue that maybe later in the game, in the last couple of minutes, he was not able to field any more command units. But I doubt it. I would love to have a look at the deck that this guy was using. Red 4, I mean. This one. Anyway, let's have a quick look at Blue 4 deck. So here it is. This is the deck that Kirill was using. 9 command infantry units, or 9 command units rather, 3 command infantry, and I think he used all 3 of them as rapid recapture units. No FOB, couple of resuppliers, in the infantry section, mostly the LSTR and the FJB. Of course, you don't have too many options for these. You just get one card of these, and you get 3 cards of these. He was using the FJB mostly as pickets, not really dealing any direct damage, not really going on the offensive, but mostly there to scare off enemy helicopters, and it worked. Motorschützen with the BMP-1 SP2, 2 of those. Potentially picking this one because the standard one doesn't come with an HEGM. Not really sure how many kills he got with the Moljutka P. I personally don't like it that much, but I think that is the reason why he decided to get the SP2. Also, the SP2 and the SP1 have the same price point. That's interesting. Well, they don't really seem to be sacrificing anything else. And finally, a couple of Conquerors M. We had some kills by these units, but not too many. Especially the early ones got wiped out very, very quickly. Supports. I think he used 3 out of these 4 because I didn't see the RM70 actually fire at anything. Note the lack of a howitzer here. He does have the mortars, but not a howitzer. So he's not going for direct fire support like the Red 4 player was doing. And I'm not really saying that anything is right or wrong. I'm just trying to learn from this deck setup. A couple of Modernas that we didn't see at all. T-72 M2. And later on he reverted back to the T-72 M1. Potentially because he ran out of these. He only has 4 of these and then 8 of the standard Wilks. 15 frontal armor, 18 AP for 85 points. Versus the 20 AP for 120 points. Recon, Specialny, we definitely saw these early on as they were capturing that area to the right flank. I think we may have seen 1 or 2 of these, but no more. Quite a few Snezgas were deployed to keep the enemy at bay, especially around command infantry. And the MI2, seemingly inconspicuous unit, but it did get a spotting on the command unit on the left flank, and subsequently was able to pinpoint the location long enough for Assyria to get the kill. Vehicle tab, the Pram S. Direct fire support unit, very long range, decent HE power. And you guys remember back in the day when Blue 4 had the M728 CEV and the, what's the British variant of it? You know, the 10 HE guns? Those used to have that range until they got nerfed back to 1000 meter range. Anyway, this thing still has a good range, but nowhere near the HE values that those units have. Also comes with a Conquerors and a standard MMG. Nothing too special there. Makes for an interestingly pretty well-rounded unit, with the problem that this one cannot spot for itself. It only has poor optics, which means that the HEGM is virtually useless. Works well as a fire support unit, not so much as a standalone. Helos, Mi-35. We saw one of these being deployed. And the Sokol, I think the one that eventually was helping out against the T-80UM as it was racing up to the command infantry, was the one that was initially deployed next to his cap. And then air power. As I noted earlier, he didn't have a lot of air power in the field, but he does have a lot of options in his deck. We saw the 912 being used, mostly to deal with enemy infantry and to wipe out some some command units. Syria 30s, there to deal with high-value targets. This one as a multi-role, capable of dealing with helicopters via the Molnia. It's only 3 HE, but some helicopters don't need a lot. And then the longer range Seed variant. And the Lazur to deal with enemy aircraft as well as helicopters. Both of these are fire and forgets. They're all infrared, and especially considering the amount of these that they carry and fire, they can quickly take out helicopters, but they are also quickly taken out themselves because their ECM is only 10%. And then for longer range engagements we have the MiG-29-913S. This one is pretty much the standard fighter. So that's his deck. If you want to use it, the description has the deck code for you, so you can use this deck and see how it serves you. Anyway, that concludes the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and if you have a replay that you want to send in, be sure to do so through the link in the description. Thanks. Thank you for watching. See you soon for more.